Okay, you guys, not even really sure where to start because I just do not want to overwhelm you. But I'm going to kind of go in the order, same way where we developed our pattern pieces. So I definitely want to start with the front here. So this is my two fronts, my left, my right. I've already gone ahead. This is going to be my exterior, the right side of the garment. And I know that sometimes prints can feel difficult to work with, but sometimes materials like this that are same on the front and back can be equally as hard. But here's what I'm going to work with, and I want to talk about number one, just tracing things off. So I'm tracing my my welt here at my left chest. So that's what I want on my left chest. And then as far as the darts go, I've traced those off on the back because that's where I will be sewing these. So to get started, I want to talk about your two options for your inner facings and your inner linings. Okay, so first, very standard, hopefully you guys can kind of see that. It's just a mid-weight knit inner facing. So if I ever use a fusible, I definitely will gravitate toward the knit. And these are squirrel clothes. Like, I really probably will regret this decision to try to make a tailored jacket from something so tiny, but bear with me. And I hope that I can drive home, I guess, just the basics from all of this. So again, here I've got my basic woven interfacing. Actually, while I've got the iron hot, I am going to go ahead and apply this interfacing to my front facings. And then, like always, you guys I'm sure know this by now, but use your press cloth. And then the golden rule, applying your interfacings, pressure and time. That's what you need. So I like to do about 20 seconds per area. And just a good amount of pressure. You don't need to go super hard. Just so we can get it to apply. Okay. So again, very basic interfacing. I mean, this is already on, it's set. Oh yeah, my cut skills show. But yeah, so this is ready to go, which is amazing and so quick and easy and 100% acceptable. But like always, there's options. So I want to show you guys a traditional tailored option. I'm going to start with my silk organza here. Oh my gosh, where's my camera? Right there. And so this gets set on as an interfacing. It is a sew-in interfacing. So I'm going to work with all very contrast colors because I'm really just wanting this to show up for you guys. So for this, and same thing, I'm going to do all my markings very dark. You want to create channels that are parallel to your center front, and for a full scale, I actually like to do 2-inch channels, and this piece is just a duplicate of your front body itself. Okay. So again, I do 2-inch channels here, and then I'm going to show you guys, this is where it gets tedious. So this is where like the option is yours to choose, but I'm going to just give you guys whatever you want to work with. So we've got our 2-inch channels here, and now we've got to apply the organza to the body. So to do that, you want to begin down here at the bottom, Now, I never ever knot when I'm tailoring because knots add bulk. So you almost, it's considered a back stitch. You just want to go in once, in again, so that you've got this secure. And then full scale, I do about 1.5 inch jumps to get myself up the channel. And if your thread's giving you trouble, definitely put some wax on it. So these are just little nicks. So I'm just, what you want to catch is the organza. You barely want to catch you don't really want to catch anything on the front side. So you can hardly see my needle prick through here. So you just want to catch one fiber of the material. And the other key to this is you do not want to pull this taut. So while you want it tight, you still want a little bit of like freedom in here. Okay, do not fault me for my mistakes because I'm going to just try to work as quickly as I can so that you guys can keep it a normal speed for yourselves. Okay, and then same as you would if you were on a machine, once you get to the top, you definitely want to take your time to give it that hand sewn back stitch so that you are completely secure. Perfect. Okay, and I'll just trim away my loose threads. And then you just move right on to the next channel if you choose. I'll probably just do a couple of these here so I don't want to tide you guys over. So again, you want a true manual back stitch. So I've come in from my right side, gone to the left, and I just want to almost just hit right where I'd already come in and out to repeat that stitch to create that back stitch. And then from there, and you can see how kind of like this, it's kind of a zigzag that forms. And again, the beauty, if you guys are going to do this, do not grid anything out. Like I like to try to keep I like to call them bites. I like to try to keep my bites even, but the beauty in a hand-tailored garment is that there is no perfection. Okay, and again, just not too tight, not too loose. Backstitch the top as well. Trim down your threads. And then you would repeat this for the entire width of the garment here. So I've got my 2 channels and I would continue on. So again, full scale, 2 inches, so as wide as your see-through ruler. And then try to aim for your stitch length to be about 1.5 inches. So that will get you set there. Now the organza is what gets sandwiched between your horsehair and your main body. So now we want to apply horsehair on top of this. You can see that I've included 0 seam allowance in this. I've cut out my dart here for where my hand welt will lie. And then this also gets applied with channels. The one difference is that our roll line will be handled entirely separately. Okay, so hopefully you guys can see that. So I will do my 2-inch channels for this little guy. I'm gonna do just 1/2 inch, but okay, whole way through. And I know the big question is, can you do these both at the same time? And you can for maybe a majority of the stitches. The only problem with that is that the more layers you have, the more questionable your stitch becomes, and the more pricks of thread you may see on the front of the garment. It's not ideal. Okay, I'm gonna give these channels to this side this time. And it's kind of nice because you can feel like the coolness that comes from the needle as it comes through the front. So if you feel anything cool to the touch, definitely irregular to the fabric, then you know that you can back out your needle. Let me just give you guys a little example. Well, not a good example. Okay, do it for the next bite. So if I have this much of my needle showing through on the front, I'll just give you guys a bad example. You would see a huge stitch mark here. And the problem with that is sometimes people think that they're meant to break that and tear it out like as if it were an accident, and then it can risk your entire garment, the insides. Okay, now here, because I do want to demonstrate something super crazy to you guys, is that split where I want to put my top half of my dart that will then meet with my welt. So I'm actually going to form a back stitch here, and then I will pick up and continue on. So clip, and then pick up from where you left off. Again, just always back stitch, keep it secure. And this is just in one side, out the other. And it doesn't matter if you go from left to right or right to left. Very, very simple stitch. So just keep it that way if you choose to go this route. Okay, we're running out of thread, so I'm gonna just try to give this a little back stitch here. Okay. So you would sew all of your channels, but where I really want to concentrate right now is within the lapel here. So for that lapel, you want it to be very stiff here in the actual peak of the notch. So for that, I like to do very, very tight pad stitching, and I'm going to try my very, very, very best to try to make this at most apparent to you. And again, keep your tailoring like fairly organic, fairly light, so this mini scale is going to make it hard, but you want what's in here to be your very tight pad stitching, and then from there, like, so I do 1/8 of an inch on my actual full scale, and then I blend out to a 1/4 inch pad stitching the rest of the way. But to talk pad stitching, red's on the machine, so I'm actually going to use the black here real quick. Maybe I should do red so it doesn't blend into my Sharpie. thread the needle. Okay, I'm gonna start you guys here. So pad stitching, it's so similar to what we just did here, this kind of catch stitch, but very tight. So like I said, near the roll line, you want a 1/4 inch. But same rules apply here. We're not going to knot any thread. You are just going to back stitch manually. So these you want to set closer together. So the stitch itself is very simple, but where you're going to see a change is in the direction of the stitching. So right now I'm feeding it from right to left. This thread is not happy with me. Okay, I'll just give you guys 3 rows so I'm not like heavily over explaining this, but I just want to show you how pad stitching differs. It almost looks like little bird feet have walked through sand. So continue up to the top. And I like to keep all my stitch lines separate. I don't like to connect them as I work like along my lines that I've formed for the pad stitching. I just don't want any unnecessary tugging. Okay, so we'll trim this away. So then you can either flip this entire piece, or you're gonna have to work the opposite direction, so you'd have to go left to right. I'm gonna favor my right hand, so I'm gonna just flip this over. So you've gotta work opposite of how we just came up. You know what, I lied. It's been a while since I've done this. So you can keep this, I'm so sorry you guys, keep it upright, so like you're looking at it top to bottom of the actual piece itself. But the difference is you work your way up the channel, you work your way down the channel, and then you can still work right to left within this stitch itself. So hopefully you can see kind of these little chevron pigeon feet here. Back stitch, trim that away. And then again, we're going to start at the bottom, work our way up. We're getting really close to the tip of the lapel here. I guess I will try to maybe sketch this out in Illustrator for you guys to see, just so that you're not only looking at the mess. But I just want you guys to understand right to left, and you want to work within these channels to go up, but backstitch your thread here to create a separate line, and then come down right to left, and then up, down, up, down. So you're just working your way up and down the entire time, and then you can keep the position of your needle the same in your hand. So that will help with the lapel here. Now I do want to jump back to this guy. So with your guys's garments, you're going to want to work with a 3/8 inch wide twill tape, and this will outline your roll line as well as the shape of your lapel down and around to this portion. I'm going to just use, I think I've got this 1/4 inch wide. So since I'm making this little guy, I do want to show you guys how to apply this. The other thing when you're working with twill tape is you want to pre-shrink it. So you can use, most irons have like a spray setting. Yeah, I've got some water in here, perfect. So you can spray it down and then just iron it to shrink it down. So you do not want to deal with shrinkage later. And then this method is same for whichever interfacing you've used. It will not be any different. So I'm gonna start it right where my notch collar begins. And then when you get to this corner where your lapel will peek up for the notch, you want to twist the tape. So you're just putting a turn into it. And all of this needs to sit inside the actual garment. So wherever your seam allowance is marked for sewing, you do not want to be anywhere within that seam allowance. You've got to shy away from it. And then come down around the edge. So this is where my lapel, my break line is formed. And then wrap down to the bottom. So that'll end here so that we can have a really nice round curve. So I'm gonna apply that now. So I'm gonna show you guys a bit of the hand tailoring method to apply this. And then when it comes to the roll line, I'm going to show you guys on the machine how I do it. So a hand method, much like a blind stitch. Well, I'm just going to show you guys a little piece of the pie. So to attach this, you want to come up, back stitch. The crazy part about applying this tape is that you have to sew it down on one side and then the other when you're hand sewing. So it is not going to be just a quick foul swoop of the length of the tape. It is double the length of the tape. So when I'm sewing this, I like to sew my stitches about 1/8 of an inch apart. And just like I'm saying, like a blind stitch, the way I like to handle my blind stitches is wherever my tape is, I want my thread to come out perpendicular. I take a bite only through just a thread or a fiber of the main body, the interfacing here. You don't want to go the whole way through. And then when you come up for your next bite, 1/8 of an inch over, you only want to come up just through the tape. So you are not coming back up through the body there. And that keeps that stitch well hidden. And then for your next bite, same rule here, perpendicular, but just right where you've come up out of the tape alone, grab a bite of the material. And then move along, and 1/8 of an inch up, only come up, so you're coming under and up through the tape only. And then right where you've come up through the tape here, you want to take that bite into your interfacing right across from that. And then as you start to get more comfortable, you can just take your needle, come up through the tape, pull that taut, take a little bite directly across where you've come up. And if your bites show here on the tape, it is okay, because this bite here has nothing to do with the front of the body. And I absolutely should be closer to that bottom hem. But anyway, hopefully you guys get the idea here. I'm going to show you guys. Let's pretend I backstitched. And just to show you what it would look like to have this other side sewn down, because you can see that it's kind of fighting me right now. So we'll pretend that I did all of this, and I'm just making my way around the bottom. So I'm going to catch directly across, just come up through the tape alone. Directly across. I have no thread in my way, and then just up through the tape alone. Repeat, repeat, repeat. And then I like to fold my ends under just so that it's clean and contained. Okay, and then once you backstitch, you can trim this away. And then if you'd like, just to get this to mold to the garment here, you can press this once again, and it'll help relax the actual shape that we've got. Okay, so you can already see this is now truly formed to the shape here, and it's entirely flat. And that is the beauty of the twill tape, is it has just a little bit of give to it, and it allows that. But I do want to take these pieces over to the machine, and for that I want to show you guys. I'm going to try to sew these itty bitty darts here, and then I will show you how to apply this on the machine, because for what we have here, we also need one piece of taping that comes down with the roll line. So much like how this is inside the seam allowance, you also want this part here inside the roll line. And you can stop it, I think it's like 1 3/4 above your break point. And again, a lot of this is so organic, but 1 3/4, 2 inches is what's nice, and allows this part to fall open just very softly, while we still can maintain, I don't even want to call it a hard fold, but just a nice roll. So we have that there. I'm trying to think if I want to show you guys anything else before we move over to the machine, and I think I'm going to. So just really quick here, because I decided not to cut my seam allowance in the horsehair, this is my horsehair here, I have to sew this top because you still need to catch it somewhere so that it's not flying high on its own. So to do that, this is such an interesting stitch because your needle is going to be working right to left, but your actual stitch is working left to right. So I've come right at the shoulder, but now I'm going to jump over, and full scale I like to do about 1/2 inch. So I'm going up and down, up and down. So up to catch just into my actual seam allowance. So this was where I will be sewing. And then down to catch my actual horsehair. And for these stitches, you do not have to go all the way through to the face because your goal is just to really tack it down to the seam allowance itself without having to sew it into the seam allowance. I'm hoping that this will show you guys. I don't even know what to call this. It just little carrot tops. Let's see. And trim loose threads out of the way, so hopefully you guys have a good visual. So it goes down and up, like a true zigzag. And because we are sewing left to right, but our needle's going right to left, you will have these kind of hash points, these X's that form at both the top in the seam allowance and the bottom here in the horsehair. And then here comes like one of the scariest parts. I'm going to slice over to my dart, and I will take you guys to the machine now. And we will soon stop talking about the front pieces.